I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like this, honestly. My name's Mike, and I've been married to Lisa for about 8 years now. We met in college, had a pretty decent life together, and I thought I knew everything there was to know about her. Or so I believed. Things had been weird for a while. I mean, she'd become more distant, snapping at me over little things, canceling plans last minute, always just a little too busy. I chalked it up to stress or work, but deep down, I had this nagging suspicion that something was wrong. Lisa's always been a bit of a bitch. She's sharp-tongued, loves to twist the knife, and has a way of making you feel like you're the reason for everything that goes wrong. But I loved her, and I figured that was just who she was. Still, her attitude had gotten worse lately, especially when I'd ask her where she was or what she was doing. She'd brush me off with some excuse about work or just hanging out with friends, but I wasn't buying it anymore. There was something in her eyes, like she was hiding something, and I was starting feel it. One day I decided to follow her, not in a creepy way, more like I needed to understand what was going on. She'd been acting secretive, constantly texting, and I'd noticed her disappearing for hours at a time. So I set up my phone to record her on a day I knew she'd be at one of her recovery meetings. Lisa's been in AA for about a year now, and I supported her through it. She claimed she was working on herself, trying to get better. I genuinely thought that was the truth at first. But I knew she'd been slipping away from her meetings more and more, and I wanted to see what she was really up to. That day, I followed her to a coffee shop downtown. It's not even that far from our place, just a few blocks. I kept my distance and watched her walk in. She sat in a corner, not alone, she was with someone. I could tell by the way she was leaning in, laughing a little too hard at whatever he was saying. I couldn't see who it was at first, but then I saw him. Her sponsor's brother. His name's Jake. He's a few years younger, always been a bit cocky, but I never suspected him of anything. That's when my stomach dropped. They were holding hands under the table, and Lisa was whispering into his ear like she was some kind of seductress. My mind was racing. This couldn't be happening. I thought about all the times I'd sat in the living room, listening to her talk about her recovery, her struggles. And here she was, cheating on me with someone she met through AA. The whole thing felt like a punch to the gut. I had trusted her. I had supported her sobriety. And now I find her sneaking around with her sponsor's brother. It's so much worse than I imagined. I kept recording, my chest tight, my hands trembling. I already knew I had to confront her, but I also knew I needed proof. I wanted her to see that I knew, that I wasn't just paranoid or jealous. I had caught her red-handed. I stayed there until she and Jake left, then went home, my head pounding with confusion and rage. I couldn't sleep that night. All I kept thinking about was how I'd been blind, how she'd been lying to me this whole time. I replayed everything, her weird behavior, her excuses, her secret phone calls. I felt betrayed, not just as her husband, but as her confidant. I'd been her rock, and she'd been cheating behind my back. The worst part, I wasn't even sure what I'd do next. This was a bombshell I wasn't prepared for. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a freight train. My head was heavy, and the weight of what I saw the night before pressed down on me like a ton of bricks. I knew I had to confront her, but I also knew I needed to prepare myself because whatever her reaction was, it wouldn't be easy. I spent most of the day pacing around, trying to figure out how to approach her without losing my mind. When she finally came home that evening, she looked annoyed, more than usual. That bitchy edge was sharper than ever. She shrugged off her coat and looked at me like I was an inconvenience. I felt a mix of anger and sadness boiling inside me, but I kept my voice steady. I didn't want to yell. Right away, I wanted her to own up to it, so I said, "Lisa, I know about Jake. I saw you two yesterday at the coffee shop. I saw how close you were. Don't lie to me because I already know the truth." She paused, her eyes narrowing. "Oh, really? You've been spying on me now? Grow up, Mike. You're acting paranoid. Maybe if you paid more attention to your own life, you wouldn't be so damn suspicious all the time." Her tone was dismissive, but I could see her hands trembling just a little. She was trying to play it cool, but she knew she got caught. "No, Lisa," I shot back, voice low but firm. "I saw you with Jake, holding hands, whispering, 'Don't bullshit me, I want the truth. Did you cheat on me? Are you sleeping with him?'" She scoffed, crossing her arms. You're being ridiculous. We're just friends, okay? Just talking. You're overreacting because you're insecure. Honestly, I don't even know why I waste my time explaining myself to you. That's when I snapped a little. You're asterisk lying, Lisa. You've been lying for weeks. All those times you said you were. At AA meetings, I was outside watching and I saw you inside that coffee shop with Jake. Don't think I didn't see how your hand was on his knee or how you kept leaning in to whisper to him. This isn't some innocent thing. You're cheating on me and I deserve to know why. Her eyes flashed with anger now. You think I owe you an explanation. Maybe I do what I want. I don't answer to you or anyone else. You're not my keeper, Mike. Just because you saw some footage doesn't mean it's what you think. Maybe you're just jealous because I'm finally happy and you're too busy spying on me to see that. Her words hit me like a slap. That's classic Lisa, always twisting things around, making herself the victim. The truth was, she was caught red-handed and she knew it. But her pride wouldn't let her admit it. Instead, she kept lying, keep pretending like this was all some misunderstanding. I could feel my fists clenching, a deep sense of betrayal burning through my chest. How long had this been going on? How many nights had I gone to bed trusting her, only to find out she was sneaking around with Jake? I didn't want to break down in front of her, so I turned away for a second, trying to breathe. I'd never felt so humiliated, so betrayed. The woman I loved, the woman I supported through her recovery, was now just a stranger who'd been using me as a fool all this time. My mind raced with questions, almost like I was trying to find a way out of this nightmare. But the truth was, I already knew what I had to do. I had to decide whether this was salvageable or if I should cut my losses and walk away. As I looked at her, standing there, all defiant and dismissive, I realized my heart was shattered. I couldn't trust her anymore. The woman I thought I knew was gone, replaced by someone I didn't even recognize. And yet, part of me still felt the urge to fight for us, to somehow fix this mess. But deep down, I knew the damage was done, and no apology could undo what she'd done. I just didn't know if I was ready to accept that or if I'd let her keep lying to protect her own ass. After that confrontation, everything changed. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and honestly, I felt like I was walking around in some kind of fog. The betrayal cut so deep I wondered if I'd ever feel normal again. I kept replaying her words, her lies, and the sight of her holding hands with Jake. Every time I closed my eyes, the image haunted me. I kept asking myself how I hadn't seen it sooner, how I'd been so blind to her manipulation. She always had a way of gaslighting me, making me doubt myself, twisting everything into some kind of excuse for her bad behavior. I knew I had to do something. I couldn't stay in this limbo, wondering if she'd change, if she'd admit the truth. But I also wasn't naive enough to think I could just walk away without any kind of drama. Lisa's the type to go on the offensive, lash out, and make sure she's the victim in every scenario. Still, I decided I needed a plan, something to finally get to the bottom of things and honestly, to get some clarity for myself. A few days passed and I started digging around. I know. It sounds sneaky, but I needed to confirm everything. I called the manager at that coffee shop and asked about their security footage. Just a casual inquiry, nothing suspicious. Turns out, the footage from that day was still available, and I had access to it if I wanted. I felt a sick thrill when I realized I could see everything in real time. I watched again, zoomed in on her face, his hand, the whispers, everything I saw the night before. It felt like I was finally seeing the truth without her lies muddling it. That's when I made a decision. I needed to see her reactions face to face again. I couldn't keep pretending I didn't know. So I called her that evening and told her we needed to talk. I didn't say what about, just that I wanted to see her. When she arrived, I was already tense, sitting on the couch like a coiled spring. She walked in with her typical attitude, defiant, bitchy, like she owned the place. I looked her right in the eyes and said, "Lisa, I saw the footage. I watched you with Jake in that coffee shop. All those lies, all those times you said you were at AA, you were with him. Tell me what's really going on." Her face twisted into a sneer. "You're delusional. You're just jealous because I found someone who actually cares about me. Jake's not just some guy I met at a meeting. He's my friend, my support. You think I'd cheat? That's ridiculous." I shook my head. No, Lisa, I saw it with my own eyes. I saw how you looked at him, how you touched him. Don't lie anymore. I know the truth. You cheated on me. You lied to my face over and over, and now you're trying to spin it like I'm the crazy one. Her eyes flashed with fury. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just insecure, always have been. I don't owe you explanations, especially not after everything I've done for you. You're just mad because I finally found happiness and now you're trying to ruin it. Well, I won't be part of your little guilt trip anymore. That phrase hit me hard. Happiness. With Jake, you're kidding, right? You think this is happiness, or just some selfish fling. You're not just lying to me, you're screwing over everything we built, everything I believed in. How can you be so damn cold? She rolled her eyes, scoffing. Whatever, Mike, I'm done with this conversation. I don't owe you anything. Keep your footage, keep your accusations. I'm done pretending I care about your feelings when all you do is accuse me of things I haven't done. If you want to throw away 8 years, go ahead. But I'm done playing your game. I felt an unbearable mixture of rage, heartbreak, and hopelessness. Seeing her walk out that door, so dismissive, so sure she was right, something inside me shattered completely. The woman I loved, the woman I'd fought to support through her sobriety, was gone, replaced by someone who didn't care about me at all. I sat there on the couch, trembling, trying to breathe through the chaos. I knew I needed to decide what to do next, but all I could feel was this crushing emptiness and the gnawing realization that my life was about to change forever. Over the next few days, I oscillated between anger and despair. I couldn't focus at work, couldn't sleep, and basically walked around like a ghost of myself. Every time I closed my eyes, I'd see her with Jake, her hand in his, her laugh, the way she looked at him like he was her salvation. The betrayal cut so deep it was like a permanent scar across my chest. I kept asking myself how I had missed all the signs, how I'd been so blind to her lies. She always had a way of twisting everything, making herself the victim, and I bought into it because I loved her. But now I could see her for what she really was, someone who lied, cheated, and manipulated her way through her own life and mine. The thing that gnawed at me most was that she'd always been the one telling me I was insecure, that I was paranoid, that I was imagining things. And yet, here I was with proof. I had the footage, her own words flying out of her mouth in that confrontation, and her dismissive attitude that made it clear she didn't give a damn about me or our marriage anymore. But I wasn't going to just sit around and do nothing. Part of me wanted her to feel guilty, to come crawling back, begging for forgiveness. The other part just wanted to cut her loose, end this nightmare, and get on with my life. I decided I had to fight fire with fire. If she thought she could screw me over and walk away unscathed, she was dead wrong. So I started planning my next move. I called a divorce lawyer and scheduled a consultation. I also reached out to a few friends, vented, and got some advice. Most of them told me to stay strong, to protect myself, and not to let her manipulate me anymore. Honestly, the more I thought about it, the more I realized I couldn't stay married to her, at least, not until she truly owned up and apologized. But I also knew I had to handle this carefully. I didn't want her to spin the story or turn it around on me. I needed to be prepared for her lies, her accusations, and whatever else she might throw my way. Meanwhile, she kept up her act, acting like she was the victim of some crazy conspiracy, throwing accusations back at me, saying I was just jealous and insecure. I was sick of her bullshit. I saw through her now. She was a master manipulator, and I'd been her target for too long. One night after she left for some meeting, probably with Jake, no doubt about it now, I went through her phone. I wanted to find out just how deep the rabbit hole went. What I found was worse than I expected. There were dozens of messages between her and Jake, flirty, suggestive. Some were outright explicit. She wasn't just cheating, she was confessing her feelings, planning their sneaky meetups. It was like I was reading her diary, and every word made me feel more betrayed, more sick. She'd been lying to me for months, pretending she was working on herself, when in reality she was deep in this affair. My stomach clenched as I scrolled through the messages. I felt rage boiling up again, but this time I also felt an overwhelming sense of loss. How could I have been so stupid? How did I miss all the signs? I'd always thought I was a good husband, supportive, caring. And she'd been out there, lying, cheating, playing her games. I wanted to scream, to shake her, to do anything to make her see how much she'd hurt me. The next day, I knew I had to confront her again, this time with everything. I arranged to meet her at a neutral place, a coffee shop downtown where she wouldn't expect me. I wanted her to see I was serious. When she showed up, I laid all my cards on the table, her texts, her secret meetings, everything I'd discovered. Her face went pale, then red with fury. "You've been spying on me," she spat. "You're a damn stalker. No wonder I don't want to be with someone like you." I looked her straight in the eye. "No, Lisa, I found the truth. I know what you've been doing, and I'm done pretending I don't see it. You lied to my face for months, and now you want to act like the victim. You're a cheating, lying bitch, and I'm not going to let you ruin what's left of my life anymore." She sneered, crossing her arms. "You're just mad because I don't want to be your doormat anymore. If you hadn't been so insecure, maybe you'd see that I deserve more than your bullshit accusations." That was it. I realized I had to get out fast. I told her I was done, that I was filing for divorce, and that I never wanted to see her again. She yelled, cursed, and tried to spin everything around, but I stayed firm. I knew I'd been patient enough. I'd given her every chance to come clean, and she'd only lied more. As I walked away, I felt a strange mix of relief and heartbreak. The woman I'd loved had betrayed me in the worst way possible. But now, I finally saw her for who she really was, and I was ready to start over, no matter how painful it might be. In the days that followed, everything moved so quickly I barely had time to breathe. I went straight to the lawyer's office, started the divorce process, and began packing my things. It was surreal. On one hand, I felt this overwhelming sense of liberation, like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. On the other, there was this gnawing ache, a deep sadness that I'd lost the woman I'd once loved, the woman I'd trusted with everything. Lisa, of course, didn't take it well. Her reaction was classic: blame, rage, tears, accusations. She called nonstop, leaving angry voicemails, claiming I was delusional, that I was the one cheating, that I was just bitter. She tried to manipulate the situation, insisting she was the victim, that I'd ruined everything, but I wasn't buying it. I'd caught her in her own web of lies, and I knew the truth. She was the cheater, the liar, the one who'd betrayed the vows we'd made. One evening, she showed up at the house unannounced. Her eyes were red, her face tear-streaked. I didn't want to see her, but part of me still felt the sting. She begged me to forgive her, to give her another chance, crying that she was sorry, that she'd made a mistake. I listened for a moment, then told her I didn't want to hear it anymore. That I was done, that I couldn't trust her, and that I needed to move on with my life. I told her she'd destroyed everything we had built, and I refused to be her punching bag anymore. That night, I finally cleared out most of my stuff from the house. It was a painful process. Every item, every memory was a reminder of what I'd lost. As I packed, I kept thinking about the lies, the betrayal, the countless nights I'd stayed awake wondering if she really cared about me. I realized I'd spent so much time trying to fix her, to support her sobriety, that I'd forgotten about myself. I'd been so focused on her recovery, her struggles, that I'd ignored what was happening right under my nose. In the quiet of that empty house, I finally understood that I had to prioritize my own healing. It was the hardest decision I'd ever made, but I knew I couldn't keep living in a fantasy where she'd change. She wasn't the woman I'd fallen in love with anymore. She was someone else, someone who lied, cheated, and manipulated her way through her life just like she'd done with me. I also realized that I'd be okay. I'd been through hell, but I was still standing. I started thinking about my future, about rebuilding what I'd lost, and about finding happiness again, without her. Maybe someday I'd forgive her, maybe I wouldn't, but for now, I knew I had to focus on me. I had to heal, move forward, and learn from this nightmare. Because if there's one thing I know now, it's that I deserve honesty, loyalty, and respect, things Lisa clearly couldn't give me anymore. And I'll make damn sure I find someone who will. It's been a few months now since everything fell apart. Looking back, I can't believe how much my life has changed in such a short time. The house is still mostly empty, and I've moved into a small apartment nearby. It's not what I envisioned for my life, but it's mine now. I've spent countless nights replaying all the moments, the lies, the deception, her coldness, and somehow I've come to accept that I was better off without her. The process of healing hasn't been linear. Some days are worse than others. I still get hit with waves of anger and sadness, but I also feel a strange sense of relief. For so long, I was living in her shadow, trying to be everything she needed, supporting her sobriety even when it meant sacrificing my own happiness. Now I see things clearly. I see her for who she really was, selfish, manipulative, and not worth the pain I endured. I've started focusing on myself, on rebuilding my confidence and trust in people again. I've gone back to the gym, reconnected with friends I'd neglected, and even started dating casually. It's terrifying and exhilarating all at once. But most importantly, I've learned that I deserve honesty and loyalty, things I never really had with Lisa. I used to think marriage was about sacrificing everything for love, but I realize now it's about mutual respect, trust, and truth. Anything less is a lie waiting to explode. There's a strange peace that comes from finally letting go of someone who no longer values you. Yeah, I still feel the sting of betrayal. Some nights I wake up angry, crying, or just numb, but I know I won't stay in that place forever. I've learned that healing is a process, and it's okay to be mad, to be hurt, as long as you keep moving forward. I want anyone reading this to understand that betrayal cuts deep, but it doesn't have to define you. You can survive it, even thrive after it. Trust is the foundation of any relationship, and if someone repeatedly breaks it, they're not worth your time or energy. Don't let their lies tether you down. Cut the cord, walk away, and focus on your own happiness, because ultimately that's what matters most. Looking back, I feel grateful for the lessons I've learned, even if they came at a terrible cost. I'm stronger now, smarter, more aware of what I need and what I will never tolerate again. I hope this story serves as a reminder that sometimes you have to lose everything to find yourself again. And in that loss, there's a chance for a new beginning, one built on honesty, respect, and genuine love.